Can we talk for a minute about our Integrating Heart and Mind workshop?
Absolutely. I'm excited. It's coming up in the fall of 2024.
I'm so excited. We changed the format to make it more accessible to people with like work schedules and personal schedules. And so this time we're going to do it 3 hours on a Friday afternoon or evening, depending on where you're at, and 5 hours on Saturday for 2 different weeks in September.
Yeah, it's so great. Like if you're finding yourself stuck in like sticky bad patterns or having communication issues or something like that, or if you want to just like get closer and trust yourself or your partner more, this is the workshop for you.
Yeah, and individuals are welcome, couples are welcome. If you're interested in really thinking through how to serve yourself well inside of your relationships, then we've built a workshop that will support you in finding the ways that are just right for you.
To sign up, head over to our website at whydoesmypartner.com/events.
We hope you'll join us. Welcome to the Why Does My Partner podcast.
I'm Jules.
I'm Vicky.
And I'm Rebecca. We're your hosts. We're also couples therapists and messy humans bumbling through our own relationships every day.
We met at a training, and our secret sauce is that we and our partners became fast friends. Between us, we have more than 40 years of experience holding hard relational questions with our clients. We're going to bring those questions here.
And together, we're going to take a stab at answering those questions. This podcast is not a substitute for couples therapy. If something you hear in this podcast stirs something deep within you about your relationship, reach out to a couples therapist in your area.
We also love to hear your questions, so don't forget to go over to whydoesmypartner.com to leave a question of your own. Our next live workshop, Integrating Mind and Heart, will be held online from September 22nd to 24th, 2023.
If you want to get closer and trust each other and yourself to get through the hard moments, this is the workshop for you.
Sign up at whydoesmypartner.com/events.
Today's question: why am I the only one who raises the red flag and has to say, this marriage is not going well? That always makes me the bad guy.
Can we slow down though and just give mad props to the person raising red flags?
Yes. My
Yeah,
favorite.
that's hard.
Yeah. It is
Well,
so
we're kind
hard.
of already flipping the question because we're seeing this person as not the bad guy.
Right. We're not totally. I get how in the marriage, in that dynamic, if you're the only one bringing stuff up, it can make you feel like, oh my gosh, am I the only one who's ever going to work on this? Or am I the only one who's ever going to complain about anything? Like, I get that.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think raising red flags means anybody's bad.
Right. Me neither.
Yeah.
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 You just might have different definitions of what the red flags are.
Yeah.
Mm.
And, can we also just mention how we need to talk about what's not okay?
Mhm.
Well,
Right? What?
some of us do.
I think we do.
I think all of us
I do too. Well, I don't think some of us, because we're all here for a reason. But I think there are some people who think they don't need to.
Oh, no, for sure.
That's all I was saying.
And here's the thing.
It's just not us.
Actually, I don't think you always have to. If you are totally cool with a kind of, I'm thinking about different people I've worked with through the years where they've said things like, can't we just get in a fight and move on and never fix it and just forget about it? And actually, isn't that okay? And people who've said, you know what? Actually, I don't feel that close, but that's cool for me. So they're like, there's a space where
some people have a more avoidant attachment style.
Right. And if you have two people who have an avoidant attachment style, actually, it is completely fine to kind of coexist and have a relatively decent relationship. It's not painful in any way. It's not hurting anybody. And there's nothing wrong with it. And probably you won't have a lot of red flags. But if that's happening, then chances are nobody's raising a red flag. And that's very different than this kind of question. So would I say you have to raise a red flag? I would say, no, you don't have to. And
but I do think you have to talk on some level about what doesn't feel good.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I want you to have that skill set.
Yes. And I was not negating that at all. I would,
yes. But I think all couples have to have a way of saying something like, oh, that didn't feel good.
Yeah. And that feels different than a red flag kind of issue, right? So it may be like,
I'm laughing. She saw it. Rebecca's
what
making faces
are you
at me because I chuckled because my way of saying that doesn't feel good was not always as pleasant as Rebecca's was just now.
Okay. Can we out
Neither
you?
was mine. Neither was mine. I have learned that.
Right? Because it sounded so pleasant the way it's just like, we need a way to say that doesn't feel good. And mine used to be things like, you don't have to say it like that. Why are you being such a jerk? Those were my ways of saying
I
that
like
doesn't
it. I
feel
like
good.
it.
So.
Oh, my personal
I'm
favorite.
glad you like it because he didn't.
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. It's maybe not the best version of it, but
I grew up in pretty hard places relationally.
Yeah.
And things were filled with a lot more rage.
Mm.
Rage, I think, was a way of saying that doesn't feel good.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It
Yeah,
was
for
a
sure.
call to attention of something.
Yeah.
But it
Ooh,
has been a total earned piece of work for me to learn how to say that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To say it like that.
To say it like that, but I think we all say it in some way. We just sometimes it seeps out of us sideways.
Well, I'm actually in the version of the person this caller may be married to, because my version of it doesn't feel good is probably to go away and not speak to you. I'm much more of a distancer than sometimes I'll pop off, but mostly not. Mostly if something's hard, but I think if we don't have some sort of mechanism to kind of walk across the room and open our mouth and saying something's feeling really bad, then the likelihood is you'll be dealing with probably quite a lot of resentment.
Yeah.
Because you're building up pain and building up hurts and not speaking your truth about how that's landing for you, not making direct requests for something to be different, not stating boundaries. And so it's just a really good way to build up resentment. So I think that's the cost, if you don't speak.
And the building up resentment is it seeping out of you sideways.
Oh,
right.
100% it is.
So now it's going to
come out in those ways.
Totally. And if you're a person who thinks it's not seeping out of you sideways, I'm resentful, but I've got it under control. I just want you to know that you are wrong. It is seeping out sideways. The people around you can tell.
Around you, they can feel it. It's vibing off of you. It's an energy.
Totally.
It's like you can smell it across the room.
Totally. Yeah. So as a person, though, who probably the other partner is going to raise more red flags, if that's happening a lot, my key for me is to say more about what's not going okay, so that two things it saved me from. One, I care about my partner a lot, and I don't want them to be the bad guy or feel like that. So I saved them from that hell. And two, I don't want to be feeling like I'm criticized and attacked all the time. And it may be, even though my partner is saying it in the best way possible, when it's a thing and then another thing and then another thing and then another thing and then another thing, ugh. Especially if I'm never saying anything, it can really get like that over a series of years. So it may be that my partner is not actually attacking me or is not actually that critical, but I'm kind of leaving them to hold our relational health in their hands by themselves.
Oh,
and this is happening because I'm not picking up my side of it.
Right.
And
so
I have a role
what
in
can
that.
I do to pick up? How can I, like, there's a few things in here, right? Because I'm hearing, how can I risk more vulnerability? Right. And then, well, if I'm not risking vulnerability, let's take it the other direction. If I'm not risking vulnerability, what am I avoiding?
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yep. And I think it can be really easy to see the benefits of that and not look at the costs.
Totally. And can we name what people would be avoiding?
I'm avoiding tension. I'm avoiding discomfort, stuff not feeling good.
I'm avoiding I'm avoiding feeling like I'm the problem. I'm avoiding feeling like like I'm sensitive or I have needs.
I'm avoiding facing,
Oh.
I have a problem, but have no idea how to fix it. I have no solutions.
I'm avoiding my own stuff.
I'm avoiding the fight.
So maybe
I'm scared of the fight.
Well,
is
I'm
it
liking all
possible?
of this. I'm going to avoid everything moving forward because these are all good reasons.
There is a big cost.
Okay, wait, but here's part of the cost, right? Because not only are you not connecting with your partner and leaving them stranded and alone, feeling like they're a problem, but you're
Yeah.
also probably in all of your avoidance abandoning yourself, abandoning your needs.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that's not that big of a problem for me.
Okay, go ahead. Be an avoider.
I'm okay with that one. I don't like the idea of the abandoning him though. So that'll be one that gets me on board. I don't think that huge leap, and I'm aware of that. I don't think most people out there understand the concept of avoiding themselves and abandoning themselves.
Oh no, totally. We live in a society that is built around dissociation.
Right. Like that was such a foreign concept to me.
Is a normal experience.
So that's not gonna that's
a
not
normal side effect of capitalism.
Yeah. That's not
You
gonna
want to
get
feel better?
me.
Buy this.
See, I think that's marketing. But
No, that's capitalism.
That's not going to be the cost that gets me. The cost that gets me is the relationship and hearing from an outsider, which could be us. It's like hearing from my partner isn't enough, right? That could come across as complaining a lot. Hearing it from outsiders opens my eyes differently. Just me. But like, oh, well, I don't want him feeling that way. I don't want to be doing that to him.
Right,
so maybe I need to tune in a little bit better. And
well, I think,
things.
the ultimate cost, if you're the one who's avoiding and your partner keeps bringing stuff up and we keep being at that one-sided, is chances are good you're going to get left at this point. Like, I'm just thinking where we are.
I didn't see that coming.
In the larger, chances are good in the end. They're trying to tell you they're not okay. They're hoping you're also not okay. If you're also not okay, but then you're not telling them,
bye-bye.
Like, chances are good it's going to end at some point. And does it end right now, or does it end, 20 years from now when the kids have graduated from high school and are off in college or whatever? But chances are good that's, I worry about couples who don't have conflict.
Yeah.
Right? Because conflict builds trust. And if we don't have, we love discord.
What are you laughing about?
Because we say that a lot. I don't disagree with it. You guys know that.
No,
I just think
this is our Discord builds trust, and we are not kidding.
We're not.
Right?
It's so true, though.
So notice, though, I can even feel that in the tone of the question.
Yeah.
And I'm putting my own like vocal tone on it. But this is a person who's like, oh my God, help me. This is not going well, and I have no partner. I cannot trust you to show up.
Right. So what I'm hearing as you illustrate that for us, Jules, I'm hearing the seeking system again. The care seeking system. Right.
Yep.
We're back there. We've talked about this before. But we're back at that place where, like, we biologically, all of us, every single one of us, are born to seek care.
Yes.
And when that care is met with care, awesome. And then play comes next, and lust and sexuality are part of that. All of that. Yeah.
Yep.
When it's not met with care,
panic grief is the first go. It kind of sounds like this. Oh, this is not okay. And then if that doesn't work, usually, by the way, when a baby makes that sound, what happens? You pick up the baby. It's worked really well, by the way. And it doesn't change in adulthood.
Evolutionary.
It doesn't change in adulthood, this tendency towards panic grief. And then the next thing is, if that doesn't work, we'll escalate into fear. Notice that's more like, I can't believe you're not listening to me kind of energy. There's urgency in it. There's panic in it. There's like oh God.
Anxiety.
This is anxiety, totally. And usually if a baby were to escalate their cry into a terror cry, what would you do?
Pick them up.
pick them up. And it works great. And that's why the system's there and it does not leave you when you're grown up. And then the next one is rage. So the next thing we're going to do, I love rage. Rage is one of my favorites. It's a bit for connection. So, so the next thing we're going to do is go, why are you not listening to me? And it comes out like anger, and it comes out like it's got a desperation quality. Yeah, it's got like that kind of energy. And when a baby does that, I think about my kiddo who did this thing where she, at some point, we were in this moment. I think I've talked about this even on the podcast, but she grabs my face, whips my face around, and goes, Mommy, listen to me. And I went, Yakpungsep is right. Rage is a bit of connection. And that is because I am a nerd.
I'm also laughing though, because Jules, I kid you not, like a week after you told, I don't even know publicly, but at least Rebecca and I, that story, my daughter did the exact same thing to me. And I was like, oh, this is what Jules was talking about. Yep. Okay.
Rage is a bit for connection.
Rage is a bit for connection.
Rage is a bit for connection. And by the way, when it comes out of an adult body, it can feel really scary when you're on the receiving end of that. And often, unfortunately, it leads to more disconnection, even though it's actually a biological bid for connection. And so I get how expressing it in ways that is a little bit more regulated can be helpful, but there's nothing wrong with rage. Let's not knock rage, because rage is saying, this is not okay. Wake up.
It's not okay.
And so if though, here's the thing, this is why I say, eventually they're going to leave you. Here's what's going to happen is that if rage goes and it keeps going and keeps going and it hits a dead end, it hits a wall. Here's what happens. You fall back down into a pit of despair. No one ever gets out.
But here's the other thing. Rage can look like different things for different people, right? Because for some people, rage is that, and for other people, rage is like silence. It's like
seething,
absence,
silence.
Right?
It can be.
It's like that.
It can be. But I'll tell you, if you're raging in silence and your partner's raging out loud, the one who's raging out loud is probably going to fall into despair first.
That's right.
The one who can rage in silence can usually like hang in kind of the gritty
tolerate. That was my next question.
They'll tolerate the space for longer. And so that's why I warn you, like, ooh, I don't want you to get left because you're never bringing anything up. Discord builds trust. If you are not bringing anything up, walk across that room and go bring something up with your partner so that they don't feel alone. Even something like, do you know, if I was writing this question, what would save me more than anything? So by the way, if your partner has said something like this, here's a little tip for you. You can put on like a Jules mask and like walk across the room and say it like this. You know what I've noticed,
Jules
babe?
mask. I know.
Right? It's pretend you're me for a second.
Yeah.
Here's how it goes. This is in a calm moment. You know what I've noticed, babe? You bring all sorts of stuff up that's not working between us, and I never do. Can you tell me what that's been like for you?
Oh, you've noticed that too?
Yeah.
Oh, it's been so fucking lonely.
Oh, hon, of course.
Why don't you bring it up? You notice it?
Yeah, I've been noticing it, and I think I'm too scared, but it's not okay. It's not okay with me that you're lonely.
It really sucks.
It sucks so bad. I want to make it different, but I don't even know how, hon.
This helps. A little bit.
It does?
Yeah, knowing that you notice it.
Yeah. See, even now I'm frozen. I like don't know what to do.
Yeah. So the therapist in me wants to come out and tell us what to do.
Yeah. Right? Well, this is the problem, right? Most people avoid the fight because they have no way out.
Right.
Well, that's a really good way to phrase it. They have no way out.
I think we do. And like, I like to make this really simple. I like to tell my people when something doesn't feel okay, just name it. Just name it. Just start there. Right? Because at the very least, like in that role play that Jules and I were just in, if maybe I could say something to you like, well, the next time something doesn't feel okay, could you just like let me know that?
Mm-hmm. Maybe, but maybe
All
I'll be
right.
too scared.
All right. Well, can we come up with like a sign or something that like you're scared?
Okay, I could do that.
Right. So like
Right?
now, right.
Mhm.
Now we're like
Now we're in
doing
problem solving
something,
mode
right?
where
Because
we
like,
can collaborate through, like
and I,
something's gonna work for us,
right. And
right?
now I'm knowing that you're scared. When I know
Mm-hmm.
that you're scared, I
Mhm.
might know that there's something coming up for you.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like before, I just felt all alone,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now I'm not so alone because you're scared.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you're also doing, Rebecca, something else you talk about, which is striking when the iron is cool. So you're having this conversation or a
Mm-hmm.
meta conversation when you're not in the moment of it
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
to
planting
plan,
seeds.
right, to plan for the next time that it does happen because it will.
Mm-hmm.
It always does.
It
Yep.
always does.
Yep. And if you are a person who is bringing up the red flags all the time or a lot of the time, it could be that there isn't a space where the iron is cool.
Oh,
If you're in
yeah.
a relationship like that, wait, play it out with me. Imagine, Rebecca, that we're in that space, right? And I'm the partner who doesn't say anything. Now
Uh-huh.
go ahead and bring something up.
Hey,
Here's what,
Jules.
yeah.
There's this thing that you do all the time, and it really just gets under my skin.
Yeah. You know what, babe? I want to hear about it. Can I slow you down for a second? I know, totally. You should be rolling your eyes at me. Can I tell you why you should be rolling your eyes at me?
Sure.
You're the only one who ever brings stuff up. You must feel like awful.
Okay, that would just like throw me back into my seat. I totally would sit back and listen to that.
So even if you have no space where the iron's hot, slip this in anyway. Do a meta about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're the only one bringing stuff up. That must be awful. I want to hear what it's like. In that moment, I am not attempting to fix this problem. I am attempting
You
to
are
be a
tending to
connection.
your partner. You are
Uh-huh.
tending to the connection.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are alone here.
Mm-hmm.
I see you. I see that you're
Mm-hmm.
doing all this work and you're alone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I don't want you to be alone anymore.
And I don't want you to be alone anymore. I want to start undoing the aloneness now, even though I'm going to mess it up tomorrow and the next day, and I'm going to keep going anyway.
Right. Because that's the thing, right? What we're trying to build here is our ability to tolerate that this kind of stuff is going to happen
Right.
and our trust that we can do this.
Yeah.
Together. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Together. That's right.
Together.
Mhm.
And you know what I do for couples who do get really worried about a fight not having a break system is I'll teach them a pause.
Yep.
So sometimes it can help even before we name this doesn't feel good, or maybe even as we name this doesn't feel good, that we both take a break for just a second and breathe for a second and slow ourselves down so that we can even notice, hey, what's one feeling word that would describe this thing right now? Or hey, what's one need I'm trying to get met that I seem to be not being able to get met? So go for a feeling or go for a need. That's usually less like, so sometimes I'll ask that question and a couple might say, a partner might say something like, well, I need them to listen to me and get this thing done. Oh, okay. So the need is feeling heard. The need is feeling like you have a partner in this. Am I getting that? Right. So we want to maybe drop it out of the content and into the larger context of the relationship. That is, and I really want to give our listeners tons of patience, props, and compassion. This is really hard.
This is really hard.
This is really hard to do in real time. This is hard as hell to do.
Yeah.
So give yourself a ton of space to mess it up like crazy. I'm wearing a t-shirt today.
I love your
Take
t-shirt.
chances, make mistakes, get messy. Because if you can do that and make it through those bumpy moments and come out the other side, whew,
That's it.
it's going to build a sense that, you know what? We could get through hard things
I
together.
was just going to say that. Well, it shows that you can get to the other side.
Yeah, which is what we care about. When it comes to strong relationship, I cannot say this enough. Hurt is not a bug in a relationship. Hurt is a feature of intimate relationship. You don't get to have an intimate relationship and not get hurt. That's not a possibility. You can have a relationship with someone and not get hurt if you tell them basically nothing about you and you pretend that our beings don't have any effect on each other. But
say it again.
You do not get to have an intimate, vulnerable, together relationship. You do not get to have that and not hurt each other. It's like Eli Finkel's book where he's talking about it's called The All or Nothing Marriage. And he talks about the hierarchy, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but he puts it in his marriage. Like, you do not get to the upper versions of the Mount Everest of marriage without going through some pain.
No.
That doesn't happen. So if what you want is more closeness, what you say yes to is hurt, which means we also say yes to pausing.
Which means we also build our tolerance for discord. It means we also start to understand the purpose of the discord. And it means that we build like resilience. Resilience becomes our ability to tolerate that hurt, to keep working towards connection, to repair the injury. Like, we don't throw people away when we care about them. We cause them pain and we show up and we hold ourselves accountable.
Just today I was working with a couple and the guy looks at her and says, "Oh my God, I have to stop avoiding discomfort or I leave you totally alone."
Yeah, that's it.
So we have to build that tolerance.
Yeah, that was me. I'm realizing as we talk that for a long 15 years, for a long time, he knew we were okay. He could tolerate the we were always okay. I shouldn't say that. But I would not say that we were even in a like quote unquote healthy relationship. And he used to hate it. I would call it healthy-ish. He was like, "It's pretty healthy." And in my head, no, because we fight sometimes.
Right.
So that means it's not.
Well, we're sold that story.
Well, I think it's also what he and I grew up with specifically. Like I think he grew up with discord in the family and he saw it and you worked through it. And I didn't grow up seeing that at all. So I'm there now because we've been through it enough times. Literally what we're saying, the discord, we've been through that enough times that I don't panic anymore.
Are you saying that built trust in you and your partner and the relationship?
Just a tiny, tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. But yeah. I've lived it. Like I've literally noticed it in time. But you have to go through it to see it.
You have to. There's no other way. I wish I could tell people. Do I? I don't know. I'm a grief lady. I love grief. I wish sometimes I wish I could tell you that that there were some non-bumpy way through this and that it would still feel really deep and meaningful, but that's just a lie. I would be lying to you. So I'm not going to do that.
I think it's kind of like learning how to ride a horse. You know, there's like lots of different gaits and some of them are bumpy as hell. And depending on what horse you're riding, they're all going to feel different. So it's like the bumps aren't the problem. Learning how to stay on is the work. Yeah.
Learning how to stay on is the work.
It's the work. It's the work.
Really
and sometimes you're going to fall off. And getting back on again is the work. Yeah, that's right.
That's a really good analogy.
Well, writing's all about connection. Anyway, let's wrap this one up here today. Before we go, this is our last episode of the Discord Builds Trust No Really mini-series.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to be taking a small break, but I want to let our listeners know it's a small break. It's like a tiny break. Tiny. We're going to be back in what, like 3 weeks?
2-3 weeks?
3 weeks?
Something like that.
Yep, July 18th. We'll start season 5. Thank you, everyone.
Are we really on season 5?
For sticking with us and being listeners. We're on season 5.
And tell all your friends and family.
Yeah. We want more.
We want more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, dear listeners, there's one thing that you can do that can really help us spread the word about the show. Whatever app you listen to your podcast in, leave us a review.
Yeah.
It really helps.
It really does help. So thanks for hanging with us. We hope that over these weeks you risked a little discord and built a little trust.
Mm-hmm. Take good care.
Bye-bye.
That wraps up this week's episode. Join us again next week for another Why Does My Partner?
We hope that you continue to listen wherever you get your audio and that you'll follow the show.
To go deeper, join us at one of our workshops. You'll find our next date at whydoesmypartner.com.
Did you know you can ask us your questions?
Your questions are relational gold.
Go to whydoesmypartner.com to either write in or record your question for a future episode.
And here are some gratitudes. Thanks to Al Huberman, our sound editor and podcast production magic maker.
Thanks to every one of you who has joined us for our workshops in the past. We've learned so much from all of you.
And thanks to everyone who's reviewed the show on Apple Podcasts. Your reviews help others to find the show.
Take care of each other best you can.
See you next time.